Coach Teeden, we are back with a special version of How Are You Wired. How you doing, man?
I am fantastic. This is going to be special. We've got elite coaches in our presence. So looking forward to this conversation today.
Yeah, I'm a little imposter syndrome sitting here, but good thing I'm more of a host than I am one of the panelists here. But what we're doing today, Coach Teeden, is we are coming up and talking to some guys about postseason. We've had a few coaches on before, and in some conversations we've had them. Coach Fratrik, who's here today, he is like, I'd love to know what other people are doing after their season, and I just thought that was a great idea, and it's taken us a while to get it, and luckily we're able to have three terrific coaches. We do have Ben Fratrik from Lake Highland Prep, who finished the season, I want to say number 3 in the state, but I'll just say top 5, and not to make sure I'm not wrong on that, depending on what rankings you're looking at. We got Coach Mike Weaving from Sickles, who made it to the state Final Four this year again, and faced the team St. Thomas Aquinas, who has had some recent success in the state tournament. So we'll talk to him a little bit about that. And then Coach BJ Ivey, who we've had on before, as well as Coach Fratrik, and he is coming off a state finals appearance, and we're really looking forward to getting their different perspective of what they're doing now that their season's over and what they're going to be doing to prepare. So, guys, thanks for coming on.
Excited to be here.
Thanks for having me.
Sounded like it.
The excitement is overwhelming.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. It's audio only on the podcast there. So Mike, need to get you to come through a little bit here. Billy, why don't you get us started, man?
Listen, guys, I mean, we're going to round robin this the best we can, but if you don't mind just giving us a kind of a brief recap. You guys all have fantastic season. I know the outcome for everybody is probably a little disappointing. But if you can just speak on your season before we get started, and then we'll go from there. But Coach Fratrik, I know 28-2, heck of a year, man. I know that regional final game stings, I'm sure, and it's going to sting for a while. But talk about the season and then kind of moving forward for you.
Really, really fun run. Great group of kids. So we started 4 seniors who'd all been here for a minute. They've all been here at least since 10th grade. Our starting point guard has been here since 8th grade. So just super connected group that loved playing the way that we played, and so we started to figure some stuff out, I feel like, over the summer and kind of piece it together, and just had a heck of a run. Very, very low maintenance guys, low maintenance families, parents are 100% on board. So just kind of a dream year from that perspective. And they were very, very good basketball players, which made things a little bit easier.
Yeah, I know the 4 seniors, and we'll talk about your offseason a little bit, because that's 68% of your scoring. So I know going into your offseason is going to be a little different. Coach Weaving, what about you, my man?
Just a great year, probably the best year I've had since I've been at Sickles. Great group of kids, kind of like Coach was saying. Every guy on our roster had been there since 9th grade, and they were all kind of thrust into leadership roles a lot earlier than they probably should have been. So all these guys have been playing since their freshman, sophomore year, and they were juniors and seniors this year, and kind of got to reap the benefits of it. But Western Conference title, district title, regional title, we came up short in states, but I'll definitely take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're kind of similar. You have 56% of your scoring is graduating. So, you have to – I know you had Chase coming off injury, so it's a little different because one of your better players is coming back still too. But, your offseason is going to look a little different as well. Coach Ivey, what do you say, my man?
Just like what these guys said, obviously it was a great year. You look back on it, there's a ton to be grateful for. Our guys, just high character kids. We edged out Plant by, I think, .028 to win the third straight academic state championship in 7A.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so,
Bringing in the heat. Bring in the heat.
so super proud of that. Unlike these guys, I mean, we had two guys off of last year's team that started for us. We had another guy that was kind of our sixth man that were all back. But then we kind of, received, 3 or 4 transfers. And so, I remember playing Lake Highland Prep this summer, and they beat the doors off of us. And I was just sitting there, I don't know if we're going to be any good at all. But I think that, we tried to, use June to kind of get to know our guys and see what they could do and how we were going to kind of put the puzzle pieces together. And then, as the season went on, the kids bought into everything that we asked them to do. And, we ended up figuring out the puzzle. And, I felt like we put it together pretty well and played some of our best basketball when you needed to play it.
And I feel like your offseason may be a little different than these two guys because you are returning a big chunk of your team. I know you lose your post, so that may change some things for you. But curious to see how you're going to dive into your offseason as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, I got to play 2 of these teams, and they were terrific teams and well coached. And the one thing I will tell people too, not that that's an argument and get into that discussion, but all these teams played a really, really tough schedule.
Yep.
And they were able to compete and beat a lot of those teams on their tough schedule. And it's really impressive. But
hold on, Joe. Hold on,
Ben.
Joe, I gotta go back
Yeah.
to the GPA thing. I believe athletic directors are the ones that submit rosters, right? I'm just is that correct? Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
BJ, you're an AD.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
say?
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. That's all I wanted to know. So maybe.
But literally all it is it's like you go to home campus and you hit submit.
Maybe
they pull their grades from the system.
Yeah, maybe a few JV call-ups to the final roster. I don't know. I mean, it's just whatever. We'll go from there.
Well, no, it used to be like a weird spreadsheet, I thought. So that's cool that you can just submit that thing and it goes from there. So let's talk about. I know, Coach, you had your banquet yesterday. How did that go? What is your banquet like? What are you as you're leading into all that? Tell us about that celebration.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I think doesn't get talked enough about is when the season ends, how sudden it is. And I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but I don't want to leave my room for 3 or 4 days. I am, it is a problem with me, but I don't want to come to school. I don't want to leave my house. So I'm in it never ends well. It never ends well. But so what I've learned over time is I have to try to front load stuff like the banquet as much as humanly possible. So before at our parent meeting before the season starts, I give them the banquet date. We have locked in where we're going to do it, and obviously at a place like Lake Highland, we've got some parents that really take the reins and run with it, and we've got a couple of families this year that they live at Islesworth Country Club, so they were able to lock down a banquet room at Islesworth Country Club, and I turn a lot of it over to the parents. But what I've learned is if I don't lock in that date before the season starts, and I don't have it set and hanging over me, and if I don't identify some parents and put them in charge of the various aspects of it, when the season ends and I finally get the time to maybe dedicate to the banquet, I don't have the mental or emotional capacity. And so then what ends up happening is I just keep punting, and we'll do it next weekend. We'll get to it next weekend. Oh, I forgot to order the plaques. And then you get to May, and it's the seniors aren't around, or there's AP testing or whatever, and it becomes a mess. So that, we had it this weekend, but we knew it was going to be yesterday since October, which that has helped me tremendously.
So what are we looking at? We looking at a highlight video? We buffeting
This
it?
year
What
we
do-
were. Now this year we had a girl, a senior, on campus who really wants to do the social media and marketing, and so she worked with our football team in the fall, and then she jumped on our staff in the winter, and she was awesome. So last week she kind of made the rounds and interviewed coaches and players, and then she put together a highlight video that we were able to show at the banquet. We have not had that before. Our banquet does usually, and again, I know every school's different. Every sport here at Lake Highland's different. It's really important to me that we include our freshman JV varsity teams in our banquet. I feel like there's a lot of institutional knowledge and a lot of our culture piece of our program that gets talked about and celebrated at the banquet. And I want the kids, I want our ninth graders, and you know, at Lake Highland we have seventh and eighth graders that are playing freshman and JV basketball, and I want them to see that piece of it. I want their parents to see that piece of it. So I make sure that we really, get the invites out early and get the save the date to everybody in our program, managers, parents, freshman JV varsity, admin, athletic admin, because I feel like the banquet piece for us yesterday is obviously a celebration. There were some tears and the speeches and all that, but I feel like it's a really strong avenue for us to pass down what we could potentially be losing with some of the seniors and the seniors' parents, the seniors' families who've been around for a while and kind of know what we're about and what the expectations are. So I can really hype up the fact that, our senior families were extremely low maintenance, and I'm thanking our senior parents, but I'm also kind of planting a seed for some of our freshmen and JV parents, like, hey, this is who thrives here. This is when we're at our best. And so that's, kind of how we do it. So we started at noon yesterday. We kind of had a brunch. The freshman coach, we do a thank you. We watch a video. The freshman coach talks briefly about his kids. JV coach talks briefly about his kids. We do. I talk a little bit about the varsity season. We do some awards that here recently in the past 3 or 4 years. So I'm going into this was my 9th year at Lake Highland. So I've got a long enough body of work that our awards are now named after previous guys. So our assist turnover award is the Nick Honor Assist Turnover Award, who was our point guard my first year here, is now playing professionally. And it's a lot of our awards, we have maybe 8 or 9 of them, some of them that are statistics, some of them that are voted on by the staff, but they all have a name of a former player that's played here for me now that I've been here long enough. And we're able to kind of connect to our alumni that way as well. And I'm able to send those guys a text. I make sure I get a picture of the award winner, and I send it, so RJ Ingram got the Assistant Turnover Award, and I sent a picture of RJ to Nick, holding up the plaque so that he knows, who's winning the award. And it's been a good way for us it gives me a reason to talk about those former players at the banquet and to kind of honor our history and connect our current players to some of our alumni.
That's awesome, Coach. I just wrote a couple of cool things down on that one. Not that we'll do it this year, but so Mike, are you in the planning stages?
Well, everything Ben said about
his
about getting it planned early and doing all that stuff on the front end, I'm on the total opposite end of the spectrum. So I didn't really start thinking about the banquet until this week, and it was spring break, and I felt like I owed my actual kids a little bit of time this week. So I'm going to start thinking about it in full context tomorrow. But in the past, we've kind of gone low key with it, a little bit lighter. We just put on Sickles t-shirts. We find a local restaurant that supported the team over the year. We get a room there. We talk about the players, the team, the season, go through awards, make sure I always give all my seniors awards. And then beyond the senior awards, I try to give some statistical awards to recognize the kids that did things from that perspective. But we've kept it really low key the last couple of years. Got a lot of compliments from the parents. I find it easier in the public school, and sometimes you get parents that want to be there to support their kids, but when we go to a country club, they say, everybody has to pay $20 to come in, and I have families that just don't want to do that, can't afford to do that. So we've had success just finding a restaurant, or if they want to order their own dinner, they can. If they want to come just watch, they can do that too. We provide food for all the players and coaches, and it's been a lot of fun. I think I've done that. This will be my 4th year where I've done it like that, and really enjoyed it.
BJ, where are you at in the process?
I'm about in the middle, to be honest with you. I wish I had my date at the parent meeting. Coach, I'll be honest, I think that's genius, and I wish it worked. But as the AD, just trying to get out of football season at that point, and things are a little hectic, and you're starting other winter sports, and it's a crazy time. So we typically try to have ours. What's kind of worked for us is when we enter the district tournament, we start looking at, okay, here's when we're going to have our banquet. I've been kind of like you, Coach, public school. I just sometimes don't like telling parents they have to pay, $30 to go eat at a country club. Last year, my staff kind of hijacked it and just said, no, we're doing it. We're doing it at this country club, and I had a booster that stepped forward and made it affordable for us. And then we did have a scholarship fund, that I knew the families that were going to struggle, and just said, hey, look, I slid them a buy one, get one free kind of thing. So mom and dad could both come, but now it's, $30 for 2 instead of $60 for 2. That's kind of been our route. We have a social media guy named Caleb Beachy. I kind of call him our sports information director. He's at most of our games, does all the filming and the interviews, and we'll film some pregame and postgame talks and things like that. He puts together a video, we watch it. I definitely view it as a whole program thing, so our JV and our varsity are both there. Definitely want that institutional knowledge there. The one thing that's different is I don't give out a bunch of awards. Right, wrong, and different. I just don't. The only award I give out is the highest GPA, and I give it out on the JV and the varsity level. I really liked what you said though about having names connected to alumni for awards and things like that. We try to view it as a team deal. So one of the things that we do that I think is cool, and we've gotten some positive feedback on, is my first couple years I would give out to the seniors here's a plaque of everything that you've done, and your overall career wins, how many times did you win districts, those type of things, any individual 1,000-point scorer, player of the year, all area, anything like that. And probably about 5-6 years ago, my last few years at Riverview, I started just giving the seniors a blanket, and then we embroider it with our logo on it. We say, hey, thanks for a great career, and then we list everything that they've done. And the feedback is that they take it to college, they put it out on their bed, and it's something that they actually use, and it's not a plaque that just ends up in a closet at mom's house when they move away. So that's been kind of cool. I try to make sure that we do something really nice for the senior parents. So we make sure that we take a really good picture at senior night, and we frame that for the families, and have some a gift for the mom, a gift for the dad, and we make our seniors give it to their parents as we have attitude of gratitude. Everybody knows it and says it, but we want to make sure that the seniors take the time to thank their parents properly, considering after some of these guys have been playing basketball for a decade, and we all know Mike especially, you're coaching your kid's team, and you're ripping and running all over the place, and it's just a huge sacrifice that the parents have. So we try to make sure that we send them off the right way. And then I always use the end of the banquet. I don't really say much about the future until we've honored the season, the seniors, and everything else, and then we kind of lay down the law for what offseason needs to look like and the commitment level that's expected. And I do my best to kind of have our summer schedule laid out. so that at the banquet, boom, everybody knows, hey, we're in Gainesville, we're in Tallahassee, we're in Atlanta, we're in, wherever we're going, and they have workout times and everything else. And then usually we kind of pick it up after the banquet, and you get back to really getting after it,
These are great answers, fellas. Great answers. BJ, I like the idea of honoring the families. Ben, you kind of did this, same thing, really making sure that, hey, you're recognizing how it's done, and for future families too, to say, hey man, we're valued. And Mike, I'm right there with you, being in public school and understanding, hey, we got to make it happen. I had my banquet in the media center. We're gonna make it happen, and I think mostly that if we're recognizing those that have put value into what you're also putting value into, I think that's the most important piece. Guys, player meetings, are we having those? How do those look like in your programs? Ben, what do you say, man?
We had our very last one today, so we do it as soon as the season ends. We send out a sign-up genius to every kid to get themselves signed up for what we call an exit interview. We do this throughout the program. I'm trying to remember if we did it with our freshmen. Freshmen's a little bit harder because our freshman coach isn't always on campus, but JV and varsity for sure, those kids sign up for an exit interview. I try to be in the JV ones if I can be. This year we were in the playoffs, and so if we could make it work, I would be in those JV exit interviews. And it was they're all a little bit different. The seniors is just like a lot of thank yous and what would you change? Like I want their feedback and what they liked and what they didn't like. With the returners, it's like, hey, are you returning? Are we sure we're coming back?
It sounds like our exit interviews. Are you coming back?
Right. That's usually where we start. Is are you planning to come back? And again, I've got a little bit of an advantage over you guys because they've got to let the school know their intent to return and a deposit and all that kind of stuff. So I usually get a little bit of a heads up. The folks in admissions start calling me like, hey, so-and-so hasn't returned their intent to return form yet. Like, you might want to have a conversation. But, and then we just try to map out with the returners, what the expectations are, where we see them fitting in, what we got to get better at, where they felt like they were at their best. And is that stuff that we can replicate? What they liked about the season, what they didn't like about the season. I try to frame it as if it's an exit interview, and it's like it's a one-time thing, but I don't want it to feel like a one-time thing. Like, this is the start of a conversation for a new phase of your career here, right? If you're coming back. So the kid we met with this morning was a junior. He was our first guy off the bench. He's going to be very good. Like, I think he might be a small college player. But it was most of our conversation was about, hey, like, your job this year to be a little bit of a sniper off the bench and is going to be significantly different. You're probably our second best returning player. This is what we're going to need from you. Like, you're going to play 25 to 30 minutes a night instead of 16, and this is how that's going to change, and this is what we need you to get better at. And what do you need from us to make that happen? And so, like I said, this morning was the last one. We missed one JV guy, so I got to circle back to one JV kid. But we finished those this morning. I try to get them done if we can. We try to get them done before spring workouts start. So our calendar allows us, season ends usually February. One of these days it'll be early March. Our spring break is always very early April because it matches up with Easter. So in between the season ending and spring break, I just want the banquet done, and then that's it. Go figure out who you're playing travel ball with. Go spring athletes, lacrosse guys, baseball guys, go. When we come back from spring break, we'll start like some workouts and stuff like that. But so that little time between the end of the season and basically spring break, we get our exit interviews done, we do our banquet, and then when we come back from spring break, so spring break's next week, the week after that, we'll start getting in the gym, start lifting and all that kind of stuff.
Mike, what do you got going on What do you meet with your guys
Yeah,
one-on-one? Is that something
I've been
you've
doing it
changed
for the
on?
last few years. We do call them exit interviews, very similar to what Coach was saying. I'm in a lucky situation where I actually have all my guys in one of my classes. So after the season's over, we take that time during class, and I just put a sheet on the wall with various times, Monday times, Tuesday times, Wednesday times, Thursday times, and they just sign up and whatever 15-minute time slot they want, and we just do it right there in the middle of class during our class time, and we get to go through all those. Usually we try to get those done before spring break. This year we didn't end up doing that just because we played a lot longer than we usually do. But that's definitely on the docket for, along with uniform returns this coming week, for them to start signing up for exit interviews, and I'll probably have those the following week. And then as far as, we usually try to start working out again right after spring break, but I'm going to give them off a little bit longer this year just to balance the time of extending the season.
Do you have to ask them if they're
I don't
coming
want-
back?
I-
Or you
I don't know if I want to know the answer.
How's that work?
Give me a little false hope for a while.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We've been lucky. We've retained a lot of kids over the last few years. Haven't had a ton of them leave the program, but I know it's coming at some point. Hopefully not this year.
BJ, you from our prior conversations and podcast interview, you have a lot of trust with your guys, and what do you do in terms of player meetings?
We'll meet with everybody. Meet with them individually. Usually, I have at least one, if not two, assistants there with us. We do two things. Especially with our seniors, we ask them kind of like the traffic light analogy, if you guys are familiar with that, like red, yellow, green. So we say, okay, what's green? Like what are the things that we have to keep doing? What's really stuff that you've enjoyed or you find beneficial, or something that 5 years from now you come back and you'd be crushed if you found out we weren't doing this anymore. And then we say, okay, well, what's the yellow? What's the stuff that maybe we need to tweak, maybe we need to change, maybe we need to I used to teach driver's ed, so slow down and use caution about, continuing to do them. And then the red, what's something that's happening in our program or something that we're doing as a coaching staff that you just feel like we're not either getting any return from it, or it's detrimental, or it's just not working, so what do we need to stop doing? And we kind of give those kids a chance to have ownership, and sometimes it's very enlightening, because you would think some of the things that we do that they don't love. We have a sailor series that is 4 really, really tough defensive drills in a row. Should take you about 12 minutes to get through, and guys are gassed, and they're all of them last year were yeah, you got to keep sailor series. And we're like, what? I thought for sure you guys want that out of there. But we do that. We do talk about what the roles can look like for each individual kid, and we ask them, I'm big on asking them what they think before I say anything, just because that kind of gives me a window into what's going on in their head, and then who are the people in their ear and what are they saying, so we kind of give them an opportunity. Hey, what are the things that you think you need to work on? What's the role you think you can play for us? And then we take all that in, and then we can either agree or disagree, or tweak it or add on, or whatever we need to based on what they're saying. But we feel like that kind of gives us a little bit more perspective on, if we have a 9th grader that we pulled up from JV and he's like, yeah, I'm going to start next year. And we're like, okay, right? Obviously we all know there's a space between reality and expectation, and everything in between is frustration. So I kind of want to get a feel for where that is earlier than later. And at the same time, I also want to know, we have a kid who I love to death. He's a junior. He didn't play a lot last year. He was a sophomore, didn't play a lot the year before. He's a senior coming in now, and it's just let's have that conversation, man, because if you think that you should be starting next year and we don't really see the world that that's going to happen, then, I understand if you want to go somewhere else. It's your senior year, and if I can help you with that, let me know. You know, you can't make that call, but I can call that coach and find out if he likes you and if, you know, he thinks that you'll play there, and I can kind of help facilitate some of that. As much as I want to see kids in our program, they got to really, really want to be here, you know. And if they don't, then, you know, no harm, no foul. I'll just help you move on.
Yeah, and we all know those guys that say that, and then they decide they're going to stay, and it's just so hard. Like it is. You know, you get to that crunch time, and you look at that's nothing worse than look at the bench and you just see a guy just sulking. You're up, you're winning a tough game, and you look down, and the one guy who's not excited for the rest of his team, it just eats at you, man. So it's better to have those conversations now, right?
Yep. And then the one thing we do, we ask, you know, who was the best teammate? You know, we ask every kid that question. We tally it. We toll it. We also ask who was the worst teammate.
Any surprises in that, B? Like when you asked that, did you kind of felt it? You know, you knew what the.
No, I think last year we kind of felt it. I mean, obviously we haven't done it this year. We lost on Saturday, and then the kids started spring break. So, you know, I mean, a few of them have been in the gym. You know, I've opened up the gym 3 or 4 times over spring break, and they're in the gym getting shots and stuff like that. But. You know, the staff usually is pretty good about what they're going to say. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. It's nice to be able to share at the banquet, you know, if, hey, you know, this guy was one of the best teammates, and his teammates said that. You know, it's not just us. And it's also nice that when you can have that one-off with that one kid who's, hey, man, listen, buddy. You know,
nobody likes you.
Yeah, you got to be better. You got to be a better teammate. We can't be a great team if we don't have good teammates. So, is this the place for you?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But those are hard truths. I mean.
Yeah, and then we also ask our seniors to give us a coach's evaluation.
Yeah.
You know, and I ask our coaching staff to, you know, evaluate me. What did I do? You know, good, bad. What do I need to change? That same traffic light analogy. We'll do it with them, and, you know, try to make sure that we're doing the best job we can. So.
I got 9 seniors next year, so I need to really have those meetings about what's your role next year.
Yeah, 100%.
Can't start all 9 of them?
That's a ton.
Yeah, I know.
You can't start all 9 of them? Just rotate
That's 2
them
senior
through?
nights.
It's two senior nights.
Yeah, no, it's just what that is a culmination of me not having enough guts to say, like, you're not good enough. But
Right.
that's a me problem. That's not anybody else's problem. But and sometimes, so I don't always have the player meetings, and it's not that I don't want the truth from them, but some of them, it's like, what do you know? Like, you're gonna, like, and I'm not saying that as like an insult, but you've been in plant basketball from your 9th grade year, and you probably came to plant basketball camp from your 4th grade year. And you're going to come in and tell me that, you know, like, I'm doing something wrong or different than I've ever done. And again, I'm not scared of the truth. I've been hammered a couple times in those, so it's not like I'm canceling player meetings because some guy was frustrated with his role and I allowed him to tell it to me. But I think some of them, you're like, what do you like? What I value you, but the reality is, like, you're going to tell me what some travel coach down the road does that makes you feel special because your parents got the Chase fraud alert that expenditure came through, and, you know, they know you're on the team. So, like, sometimes I'm just like, I like what you're saying, guys, but let's be real of your background. But I do have them. I have them with every kid in the program, varsity, JV. Some more important than others. You know, you're kind of saying some are with parents, some are without, and go through the roles. But so as we move towards next season, what does difference? What does your off season look like? Let's start with you, Coach Weaving, since you haven't had a start yet. What do you think your off season is going to look like this year?
One thing we've been doing the last couple of years that I've been super pleased with is we've been doing a lot of weight training together. So we've been going off-site, finding a place with a professional trainer that's not me, that is much more knowledgeable than I am. And we're definitely going to continue with that. We've had a lot of success. I feel like we've been a very physical team to play against, and we can take hits and use that strength to our advantage. So we're definitely going to start that back up probably middle of April. We usually look to start it early April, just push it back a little bit this year. Normally we're getting back in the gym right around now when we get back from spring break with just skill development and skill work, and maybe an extra day in the weight room along with what they're doing outside of it. And then I also just like to open up the gym for those guys one day a week where they can just play. I'm not coaching them. I'm not telling them what to do. I'm not telling them how to play. I'm just letting them play, and I can sit back and watch what they do on their own and what their natural instincts are, and start to put some of the pieces of the puzzle together about, oh, look, this kid's really good in this situation. This kid's really good on ball screens. This kid's really good at playing off the ball. This kid's really good at off-ball screens. This kid's a really good offensive rebounder. Whatever their skill sets are, whatever their natural skill sets are, I can kind of take those and start to mold who we're going to be the following year. So that's definitely something we're going to continue to do. And that'll flow into June. Planning on doing both live period events in June, along with the Tampa Summer League. Get our 16 to 18 games in, and hopefully we start to get a feel for who we are. I felt like last summer that worked really well for us. We had a great summer. Had to make some changes when Chase got hurt, but overall, I think that great summer flowed right into a great season.
BJ, what have you started looking at?
So I'm fortunate. We have a first period basketball class. So our guys, are with me first period every day. So we'll get our skill work in there. We'll lift 2 times a week. I just, I love the weight room. But I just feel like right now with so many kids that are going off playing, 4 or 5 AAU games in a weekend, or going to, the Southeast Elite practice where they're practicing twice on Saturday, once on Sunday, and they come back. I mean, for me to go kill them in the weight room, I feel like I just use this as like a maintenance lift, if that makes sense. Just trying not necessarily make a lot of gains, but not lose anything. And then we'll play pickup. One of the things that we do with pickup is in the spring is we'll track wins and losses. So I keep a tally, and I mix up teams all the time, and we play like, I don't know, call it like kind of deck of cards. So kids will pick, and this card has this game. Like, oh, you got to have 3 passes and a ball reversal before you can score. The next one might say like, hey, there's a golden boy, pick out one person on your team and he's worth double every time he scores. We'll do different things just to keep it fresh, but we'll keep a running tally of wins and losses, and I just want to know like who's competing, like who's affecting winning, even though it's just a simple pickup game in the spring that nobody's going to see. It's still like, are you competitive? Are you trying to win? And then we'll do something, special for those kids. I usually give them like a free Jersey Mike's gift card or something, whoever has like the top 3 finishes as far as their winning percentage goes. And then we'll just, jump into June, I don't know how you guys feel, but like, man, some of these player meetings and stuff sometimes are so like counterproductive because we did them last year, and then all of a sudden, you have 3 guys transfer in, on June 1st, and you're like, okay, well, I know what I told you, but that's out the window now. Like, this kid's pretty good. So, I just kind of feel like it's almost like a holding pattern in a way, just to see who's really going to come back and who's really who might come in. And then when June gets here, you're off to the live periods, and you're almost like, running it like the first 2 weeks of practice, trying to install your offense and defense. I don't worry about a lot of that stuff in the spring. But we try to have rules and pickup that emphasize certain things, that are going to make them play a certain way that we can sit back and watch. So we'll probably play twice a week, lift twice a week, and then do skill work at least 4 to 5 times a week. Is about where we're at.
What do we do at Lake Highland Prep, Coach? What are we looking at?
Yeah, when we come back from spring break, so it's usually the Monday after Easter. That's usually a teacher work day. So the Tuesday after Easter, we'll do everything in the morning. We don't have a basketball class, but we do everything before school. And we are in the gym twice a week, and pretty much in the spring, it's very similar to our fall. Almost everything that we do in the gym is 3-on-3 and 4-on-4. Some constraints, maybe with a shot clock or a dribble limit, but it's a lot of our offense, some of the Princeton stuff and high post stuff and split action, but just in 3-on-3 and 4-on-4. So that and like this year, it's going to be, because we're losing so much, it's going to be like teaching those guys how to do that, so like, and what that looks like, and the split action reads, and us figuring out a little bit who can make some of those passes and stuff like that. So our spring, the morning workouts are playing 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and shooting the ball is pretty much all we do in the spring. And then, so that's two mornings a week, 3 mornings a week we will lift. Again, we're extremely fortunate that we've got a full-time strength and conditioning staff here at Lake Highland. So I just make sure our guys are here and on time. And then I'm usually trying to get in a lift with them, and they've got to work out with the strength coach. Coach Ivey mentioned it's a really good point. Like, our better players are coming back on Monday, and they are worn out, man. And so, like, a lot of times our Mondays are almost like recovery days in the season. Like, all right, you guys that are playing, you played 6 games this weekend or whatever, like, go get an ice bath and come into the weight room and stretch. And that's all we're doing on Monday. And then we're really fortunate, both from a staff perspective. I've got some young, real go-getters on the staff. And then also, again, an advantage of where I'm at, and I recognize this, is just the access to the gym. So our guys, a lot of the time, like, we don't schedule anything, in the evenings in the spring or on weekends in the spring, but our guys find a way to come back to the gym a lot on their own and get on the gun. And, we're just really big on saying, like we know who our best shooters are going to be, because they're the guys that are just shooting the most. Then our best players are the guys that are playing the most, and that it's not a real fancy recipe. So, we may do occasional full, like, pickup if volleyball's gone and we can get in the gym after school a couple of days a week. We'll schedule those kind of on the fly and just let the guys play pickup. But for the most part, they know their mornings are going to be either in the gym or in the weight room all through the spring. And then, what I tell our parents and the kids is, like, look, we're gonna play every weekend in June. We're gonna have games. We don't do summer leagues with our our JV teams and stuff like that. We'll get in summer leagues, but pretty much it's we try to find team camps, local team camps, 2 or 3 weekends in June, and then we'll go up to Gainesville, go up to Atlanta for the open period weekends. Mondays are always going to be off. Practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Go play somewhere Friday, Saturday is kind of our schedule, and we're running our little kids camps, and so our players are working at that and all that stuff in June. But that's kind of been our routine that we've kind of developed over the past little bit that really kind of seems to work for us.
Sounds good stuff, man. So, like, when I finished out, I valued my summer league games a lot differently than when I first started at Plant City or at East Bay. I didn't necessarily care about wins and losses the last few years. I know the live period's a little different now, because you kind of want to put your guys in the best situation to be seen playing the best. So I know that's different. But outside of that, are you putting guys in different places to see how they react, what they're going to do? Are you mixing up the lineups? How are you approaching wins and losses in the summer? Anybody can jump in on that one.
Let's take that one first.
Well,
go ahead, Coach.
I'll tell you a funny story. We played at Bartow the first weekend in school, right? So it was like a fall deal, but it was actually like the end of the summer. We've done on the live period stuff, and and I mix it up, and and I'm a different coach. And I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I'm a different coach in the summer than I am in the season.
Yep.
I just feel like, there's this thing, the more you're exposed to a certain, stimulus, the less you respond to that stimulus, right? So I'm not the same guy in the fall that I am in the season. But we got blasted at Bartow. I mean, I can't remember. I think it was Armwood beat us 25 points, 30 points, and I never got up out of my chair and, sat there. And, after the game, I was laughing and joking with, McGriff. And Donnie Wilkie came over to me, and he goes, "You know what, BJ, you're the only person in the gym right now who understands that it's August." So I'm like, I think in my earlier years, I was like, "Oh man, we got to win. Like we can't lose to Riverview, or we can't lose to so-and-so in the summer. Like we got to send a message." And now it's just like, I really don't care.
Right.
I'm just really trying to gather information and learn my team. And, I try to have a less of a voice to see who's going to step up and have a voice, and then I try to listen to that voice and make sure that they're, saying and doing the right stuff. And then try to learn the group and try to figure out what our plan's really going to be. I think there's been years where I thought I knew exactly what we were going to do in the regular season in June, and there's found out that maybe we need to make some adjustments, and change some things. So I just wanted to share that story because I thought that was pretty funny. Like I was like, Donnie, that's a good point.
The thing about it is,
I'm surprised.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry.
No, I was gonna share what I
say.
saw. Being at Plant City, and I felt bad for CT. He had some kids transfer in, and they played a tough, August, September. Like they played some games. And I'm like, man, I know what you brought back at Plant City. I know you brought new kids in, but they didn't do so well. And 4 of those kids that transferred in, they weren't there at the start of the season. So like it totally. So I know what you're saying, BJ, and I was the same way, but I felt like that wasn't established because of who you are, what you've done. But for a new coach, man, it's hard. Like, I don't know how you kind of maneuver through that.
Can I ask you, BJ? So, because I feel I'm going to be, this is a way I'm constantly going through this, and other guys feel free to jump in. But you obviously have a terrific player coming back in Johnny.
Yep.
I have 4 guys coming back that played a lot of minutes for me. We need to find other guys to fill those 2-3 spots, whatever you want to say, with your depth. So that means I'm guessing you maybe back Johnny's minutes off.
Yeah.
In the off season.
Not the live periods, but the other 2 definitely.
Right. So that would lead me to think, because I don't want to waste guys' time. I know because my best players want to play. They want to get out there, and they don't want to go out there, and they don't want to look bad or whatever it is. And how does that conversation go? Do you have that conversation, or is it just understood?
No, I'm very, very transparent with them. Like obviously, I didn't want to play Johnny at the point guard all year. It turned out to be what was best for us. He didn't play the point much this summer, and we rotated a lot of guys around, and I was very open and transparent with, hey guys, we're looking for a point guard. We're looking for somebody to, take this role and own it and win the job. And you're starting this game, you're going to start next game, you're going to start the next game. And we laid it out before we ever got to the camp. I call it a camp. I mean, I'd rather just go to a local high school than, give, some college coach all my money.
Whoa. Time out, man. Florida College is having a shootout here. No, go ahead, BJ. I'm just kidding.
You're a guy I would support. But, when I'm, paying Florida $700.
No, I'm with you.
Like,
I'm with you, man.
Buddy, I know the game. I was at FGCU. I get the game. Like, you're not paying for it. You know what I mean? If you are, you didn't do it right.
Come on.
But we had that conversation, and I remember having to talk like Johnny a little bit off the ledge a little this summer, and just, hey man, we're gonna be okay. Just relax,
That's what scares me.
Just relax. We're gonna be fine. I promise. I need you to trust me, okay? So I think it's a fine line. I think that's where you have to be mindful of the events you put your team in. There's nothing wrong with playing a few good teams, like Lake Highland waxed us, and that was good for us at the time. You know what I mean? We needed that. But I don't know if you want to play that game every game all summer. You have to be competitive. You have to find some games that you can compete in and have some success. Or you're right. Otherwise, the vibe can be bad, and you can lose kids before the season starts.
I would love to know if you guys, The open periods have changed some things, right? In terms of our approach to this summer, and it's, I used to be able to just tell everybody, hey man, like your kid's going to play in every game, like that. That's just what we're doing. We don't keep 15 kids on the summer roster. If we do, you'll play some JV games or whatever. But like your kid's going to play every game. So even if we're going up to Florida team camp, and you want to make the trip, like your kid's going to get in the game. And now we're having those conversations, especially about trips to Gainesville for the open period or to Atlanta, where, the newcomers to varsity, the younger guys, and I'm telling parents like, hey, like your kid's on the team, he's part of the roster, we expect him at everything, but here's what we're doing. Like we're playing 8 guys in front of college coaches. Like we got 3 seniors that are trying to open somebody's eyes. Like those guys aren't coming off the floor. I still, we obviously want to win every game, but it's even more important. Like I just want those guys in a position where they can rock out a little bit in front of some people and feel good about it. But I'm really having a conversation with parents at the beginning of June about, hey, this weekend that we're in Gainesville, we expect your kid to be with us. We're going to play 4 games or whatever it is. He'll play in 2 of them. We promise you he'll play in 2 of them. If we can get him in more, we will. And it's been an interesting, I haven't had a whole lot of pushback or fallout, but it's definitely new. And I'm wondering if everybody's doing that or if you guys are feeling that at all or what an approach might be for you guys.
I've always treated summer, or at least June, very similarly how I treat the regular season, kind of like BJ, not with the intensity, not with the fire, not with the full playbook, not with the scouting, but as far as rotations go, I want guys to get used to the minutes that they're going to get. I want them to get used to playing whatever role they might be playing during the season, and then when he comes into finding out who the last 2 spots are going to be, rotating those guys through. Who plays well with this kid? Who plays well with that kid? I know who my point guard's going to be. I know who my 4-man's going to be. I know who my shooting guard's going to be. Who are these other 2? How are they going to fit in? And I'm just giving them a lot of minutes. And I don't guarantee any minutes for anybody in the summer as far as the summer goes. Obviously, the way our schedule is structured with the summer league, we'll go do some of those live period events, and then we'll come back and have a game on Monday. So more guys will get in those games just because of fatigue on some of the guys that played a ton in the live period. But we've always done some spring league games, and we've done some fall league games. And Joe and I have done this a couple times where we'll schedule a time to play each other in the fall or the spring, and we'll just say, hey, let's just get 2 games. We'll get one game in for our main guys, and then everybody that doesn't play in the first game, they can play in the second game. So everybody will get minutes there. But in June, I try to give it that regular season feel and try to get them used to competing and trying to win everything with a little bit of what Coach was saying, where I'm not going to be as intense. I'm not going to get up out of my chair. The playbook's not going to be as deep. We're not scouting for anybody. Our preparation's not going to be there. But as far as the expectation of how they play, how tough they play, how long they play, the better players always play in those games, unless it turns into a blowout like it would in a regular season.
I like what you said about expectations. Those never change. Like that, our expectation, no matter who's playing, is this is what's going to happen. And Ben, to your point, as a parent now, I did my youngest played travel baseball, basketball. So, as a parent, when I went, to a tournament in Atlanta for baseball, and he played like 2 innings, it would have been nice to know, like, hey, he's not going to get in that much. Like, so I understand that parent side of it, just being up front and say, hey, listen. This weekend here in Gainesville, they're not going to play much. I think that conversation has to be said, because they're taking the expense of seeing their kid. They're could be taking time off of work, whatever the case may be. But that's a great point. I think as long as that communication is happening, I think it's fair done and it's understandable.
My favorite thing is the development. Everybody loves that word. Like, my kid needs time to develop. Yeah. And I sometimes go, look, development's not just for the bad players. Right. I mean, development's for all the players, right?
Our good guys get good too,
Yeah, like it's not monopolized by the ones that, that don't get to play much. But guys, this has been awesome. Billy, did you have some rapid fire you put together, or what did we decide?
Yeah, if we want to get like a couple quick questions for him. Let's see if we can get one at a time, I guess. I don't know what was the best goal. Let's Yeah, I'll always ask one of you guys just one question, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, BJ, we'll go here first. All right. If you could have done anything different from last season, what would it be? See, it's not a rapid response. It's got to be.
Yeah, sorry, wrap it up.
Yeah.
I guess, I listened to Mark at Windermere, and he said, hey, the one mistake I made last year is I didn't look ahead to Columbus enough, and so I tried to take that into account, and but obviously looking back on it, I wish I would have had the film and had everything done before we went up to Jacksonville. I just felt like, after that game, you're scrambling, trying to, make your edit and, get all your clips together to show the kids, and ended up being, a lot of work in a short period of time. It would have been nice to kind of have that done. I probably would have assigned it to, 2 assistants just to kind of have a baseline already done that I could then pick through. So that would be one thing I would have done differently.
Mike, best moment from last season. Best moment for you for last season.
There was a ton of them, but there was nothing more special than Chase coming off of his ACL injury, missing the entire regular season, missing the district tournament, coming back in regionals. In the regional semifinal, he actually took kind of a weird step and ended up taking himself out for the rest of that game. To Parrish really doing a good job scouting us and taking Jackson out of the game, and Eddie kind of had his most dominant game of the year, but they left Chase open, and he had 18 points in the fourth quarter to win us a regional championship after not playing all year. I think he had played a total of 15 minutes in the 2 previous regional games. All 18 of his points came in the fourth quarter. He was 4 for 4 from 3 in the fourth, 4 for 4 from the line, and 1 for 1 from 2. And it was a back and forth game. Parrish was making a run. They took the 2 guys that were really dominating that game out of it in the fourth, and he really stepped up when his team needed him the most for a guy that we didn't even know if he was going to play that week or at all this year. That was something pretty special. But as far as the whole season goes, I had a kid named Jackson Byam who was relatively unheard of before this year, who really stepped up in a major way for us and had an unbelievable year. Ended up winning FACA Player of the Year, played in the FACA All-Star Game, won Western Conference Player of the Year. That was pretty special to see a kid that was a JV player his sophomore year that just kept getting better and better and better and had an opportunity to be great and seized it consistently.
Great.
That's awesome.
Good stuff. All right, Ben, how would you have matched up against Calvary?
Not well. That's super rapid fire.
They were so stinking tough, and but man, yeah. Oh, last one. Any of you guys can answer this. The open tournament next year. Yes or no? Big fans or no?
I'd like to know more about it. I've heard varying descriptions of it as to what it would take to qualify for it, how many teams are going to be in it. So I think if, depending on how they do it, it could be a good thing, because some of these teams are playing with a different deck of cards than the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I'm just like you, Coach. I'm probably not educated enough on it. I know that we've talked about it as a staff here, and we're really curious. It does feel like you get to a Final Four, a regional final, and there's a handful of teams that are nationally, playing at a national level, and as good as we might be or have been. It doesn't feel like we're playing. We're not quite built the same way, but the concern with our staff is well, if it's an open tournament of 8 or 10 or whatever it might be, we might sneak in there as the 8th, but the result's going to be the same, which is probably a 30-point loss to Calvary. I don't know that it changes anything in terms of maybe at the non-open part it changes some things, but there's going to be a handful that it doesn't change anything for, and it might make it harder in some instances. But I don't know enough about it either to really formulate an educated opinion.
The possible open tournament, and this could be totally wrong, was that the only way to qualify for it's going to be having won a state championship in the last 6 or 7 years. I don't know if that's right, wrong, or indifferent.
We're good. We've never won one. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, they don't want to take away that first one from somebody if that's taking away. That's from my understanding. BJ, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I just think something like kind of has to be done to make this a little more equitable for teams. So many teams, kind of like what Ben was saying, is like you get to a point and it's like, okay, well, great season, good job, guys. We don't have a chance. You know what I mean, right? So with that being said, I feel like, and it's not fair. Like, we're pulling kids from Sarasota, Florida. You know what I mean? And, and I'm not saying Columbus did anything, against the rules or anything, but all of a sudden,
right,
kids off of IMG's national team leaving that facility and that situation to go to Columbus. I mean, we just don't and never will have that, unless we just, at a public school like us, just blatantly break the rules, which, I'm not naive. I know people are doing it, I know it happens in football at a rampant level. I just feel like, at some point, you got to make it where it's actually equitable for some of these teams. I mean, I looked at it like the easiest stretch of some team's season is districts to state championships. Like, that's the easiest stretch of their whole season.
Right.
Like, that just doesn't make sense, So something has to be done. So I'm in favor of it.
Well, hopefully I find out more tomorrow at my FHSA advisory meeting, and I think the big thing is how many teams, and then they can go from there. But I don't know. We'll find out. And initially I was against it, but now I'm for it. Talking to Coach Martin at Providence, he changed my mind, as I think he changed Coach Weaving's mind a little bit. But guys, this was awesome. We could probably go for another hour, but we're gonna cut it off because I know some of us are actually got some things to do. I know Coach Fratrik has class he's got to get to, maybe. He's there, maybe. But thanks so much, guys. We'll pump this out, and we really appreciate you taking the time on a Monday afternoon.
Of course. I appreciate you having me on board. I'm flattered, man. I've got a lot of imposter syndrome going on over here when I'm lumped in with you guys. This makes me feel good about myself. So I appreciate it. Keep doing what you guys are doing to the game.
Yeah, definitely. Ton of respect for all you guys, man.
Thanks so much for having me. A lot of great coaches on this. A lot of great insight. I definitely learned some things that I'm going to try to take away.
All right, when I cut this thing off, just stay on. So, because it's got to upload, so just stay on for like 1 minute.